If you spend any time on the internet, you have almost certainly heard dopamine described as the brain's ultimate pleasure drug, a chemical that exists simply to make you feel good. In reality, dopamine operates as a motivational compass. It continuously works below your conscious awareness to parse the exact difference between simply wanting something and actually getting it. To navigate a constantly shifting environment, your brain acts as a relentless prediction machine. It ensures your physical survival by continuously analyzing your surroundings and anticipating what happens next. But the brain only updates its internal map of the world when it makes a mistake. True learning requires your internal guess to be proven wrong. Neurobiologists call this critical biological mechanism the reward prediction error. This split-second calculation dictates how we interact with the world around us. To see why we struggle so much with modern distractions, we have to look at the math happening inside the midbrain. This animated diagram lays out the simple mathematical equation that drives our behavior. Your reward prediction error is calculated by taking the actual outcome you experience and subtracting the outcome you initially expected. When an experience delivers significantly more value than you anticipated, the math heavily favors the actual reward. This generates a massive positive error. This schematic shows exactly where that positive error registers deep inside the brain. These brief, powerful spikes, known as phasic bursts of dopamine, originate in the ventral tegmental area and the substantia nigra, traveling outward to the striatum to facilitate reward-based learning. That biological signal acts as a hardwired command. It forces the brain to instantly memorize the exact behavioral sequence that led to this unexpected reward, ensuring you will repeat the action to get it again. Commercial digital platforms understand this midbrain pathway perfectly. Short-form video feeds and casino slot machines both rely on variable ratio reinforcement schedules. They serve up highly unpredictable content, so your brain can never accurately guess the expected reward. These digital environments are highly optimized systems engineered to exploit the brain's evolutionary need for surprise, turning our natural learning mechanisms against us. We also have to look at the other side of the equation. When you expect a reward and it completely fails to materialize, the math flips, generating a negative prediction error. Neurologically, your dopamine levels physically drop below their normal baseline. This creates a chemical trough that instantly triggers highly sensitive D2 receptors in the brain. Look at panel A. A mouse receives a red negative prediction error signal after a wrong choice, forcing it to abandon the behavior. In panel C, rules suddenly change. Flooded with negative signals, the organism is forced to rapidly adapt to find the new reward. But if an outcome is perfectly predictable, we experience what researchers call the blocking effect. Zero excess dopamine is released because there is no error in the prediction. Consequently, the brain learns absolutely nothing new. Perfect comfort and total predictability are neurologically stagnant states. To adapt, grow, and learn, the human brain physically requires the friction of mistakes and the sting of disappointment. When we find ourselves stuck in a cycle of endless scrolling, our brains aren't malfunctioning. We are watching a perfectly functional dopaminergic pathway trapped inside an engineered digital environment. The inherent limitation of this biological system is recovery time. After sustaining intense, engineered dopamine spikes, your neural circuitry requires a significant cooldown period, often lasting several days, to replenish its baseline levels. The first line of defense is actively protecting the activities you naturally enjoy. You have to refuse the urge to stack highly stimulating digital rewards, like listening to a podcast or scrolling social media, on top of them. Pairing a natural joy with a constant stream of digital micro-rewards corrupts the prediction math. When you remove the digital stimulus later, your baseline motivation for the original activity is destroyed. Second, rather than chasing massive, unpredictable rushes, pace your milestones at regular, predictable intervals. This leverages the brain's prediction mechanism to maintain steady dopamine levels as you work towards goals. Dopamine is the vital evolutionary compass that guides our effort, and we must actively defend that system from being commercially hijacked.